You're listening to the Wheatgrass and Champagne podcast with holistic entrepreneurs Mandi Rose and Kathleen Hupp. Tune in each Wednesday to discuss holistic approaches to a happier, more fulfilling life and glittery distractions from the mundane. Nothing is off limits in this series, so grab your glass of champagne or your shot of wheatgrass and prepare for complete and fabulous chaos.
How now, brown cow.
My ears are bleeding.
Well, I can't hear anything now.
So I'm just going to assume that was all golden.
This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. Little Frank Sinatra for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was from a show.
I was going to say we have to...
Before we were a thing, I used to listen to Frank Sinatra a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that where you get all your romance from? Welcome back, guys. We are so excited for this week's episode. This month is all about love and Valentine's Day. So we want to have all of our episodes kind of follow suit and talk about different topics every week. And this week's episode, we have probably my favorite guest. Ooh. My husband, Andrew, is here with us today. Say hi.
How's it going, everyone?
He's here, beers in hand.
Yep.
He is ready. This one is going to be hilarious and also full of advice because Andrew is kind of a dating guru.
The modern day Hitch.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's gotten a lot of experience. All my girlfriends are single. And a lot of his guy friends are still single. So we're like the married couple of the group. And constantly he's giving sometimes solicited and sometimes unsolicited advice to my girlfriends. But he's going to give us a little bit of his male perspective today. We've got a bunch of questions that were asked from single women, from women that just kind of want to know, like, what do men think, right? And we're going to dive in today.
Yeah. And so I feel like one reason why people ask you for advice is because you two have such a healthy relationship and they're like, okay, I want this. Like, he has a bombshell wife. You're both very successful, very put together, awesome people. And so they're like, okay, he figured it out. He must know how I can too. So if you guys want, you should tell how you met and how long you dated before you got married.
So I remember the first time I met Andrew, I had just moved to Florida and I got hired on at this new job, so I didn't know anybody. I was new to a new state, and it was like the opening team of a new hotel, and I was the new girl that came in because everyone had got hired like a week before me. So we were all still in training. The hotel wasn't open, and I showed up, and I met a whole bunch of people at once, and he was there, but he wasn't even on my radar. He was only 21. I was like 24, so I wasn't really that much older, but I had kind of moved all over the country. I think we've talked about my story on this podcast before, but I got to Florida and met Andrew and we started bartending together. Then we became roommates and it took me a long time to figure out he was the one. A long time. What's your version? I love his version because it kind of goes with one of the questions we're going to ask later.
Ooh, let's hear it.
I do remember the day I met you. My wife now.
No.
Crazy to say that, but I remember just coming out of the back right into the bar, and you were sitting actually on one of the bar stools looking back at me, and I was honestly a little nervous to even talk to you. So I just was like, oh, I'll just go over here and clean this up. And
don't look at Barbie over there.
Yeah, exactly. And at the time, I think you actually were a brunette, so...
Half and half.
Yeah, a little half and half.
I was going blonder because I got to Florida, so I was like, more highlights, until I turned into like a crazy platinum chick.
But I think the best thing with our relationship is that we were friends before anything ever happened, you know? And you got to have that foundation sometimes, so... And I'm glad we do.
Yeah, we were roommates. I mean, we dated other people. And so he's watching me. I went through like a weird little single phase for a while after I got out of a relationship when we were roommates. So I was like, he'd find me like crying on the floor over some guy who was a total D-bag. Like, and he's like, why are you even trying to talk to that guy? He's so gross. And I'm like, oh, he's so hot. Like, I just want to be with him and he doesn't want to be with me. So he'd see me at these like crazy like ups and downs of relationships and vice versa. You know, he like dated someone long term and I saw their relationship and was friends with them. And then when it didn't work out, it was like so obvious. I kind of knew why it didn't work out, but I already knew his like character and how he treated women in relationships. So we had a really good foundation. And people always ask us, because it was 5 years before we started dating?
Yep.
And people are like, oh, you guys probably hooked up before that. And I'm like, never. Like, there wasn't really even a part of me that even had him on my radar.
Not once in 5 years.
Nope.
No.
Never.
Wow.
Not even close.
That is a solid friendship.
Not even close. I think like once or twice I slept in his bed, but I was like totally platonic. And like, I was like sobbing hysterically because a guy like hurt my heart. And he was like, okay, come, just fall asleep in here. Like, I mean, but it was so platonic. It wasn't even like...
Yeah.
So much so I don't even really remember it.
Yeah. It was like maybe once
I was
or
like,
twice.
okay, just don't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
trying to
stay
sleep
on
here.
your side.
Yeah,
Don't take
so
my
I think
pillow.
a lot of people
Pillow
don't
barrier.
believe that.
Don't touch me. Don't kick.
Yeah, no. And then it was just like one day I was like totally single. And I think you probably started having feelings first, right?
Yeah, I was single first.
Yeah.
And I think you were just coming out of a relationship at the time. And I think we both realized how wrong the guy was that you were dating at that moment.
Yeah.
And I was just shaking my head like, what? What's
Like,
going
wake
on
up.
here? Like, what? Why is this amazing girl with this guy? And yeah, I definitely had feelings first. And I think I even let you know about those and let you know that I would wait as long as it took. So.
And that's like something I tell my single girlfriends. Like if a guy wants you and wants to be with you, you're going to know it. And he's going to tell you over and over. Because I always just saw him as like the nice guy, right? I wanted the bad boys. I wanted the guys that like had an edge to them. And he was just like genuinely nice. Like, and that was great. But it wasn't exciting at the time when you're like in your 20s. And then he said to me, you know, I'll wait as long as I have to. Like, if you have to go through another phase with another bad person, like, I'm here. I want to be with you. And then it took like a week and it like kind of clicked. I'm like, oh my God, I'd be an idiot if I like went out and found another bad relationship. Like, he's right here. Like, what are you doing? And that was like terrifying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to date anyone else for the rest of my life. Like, holy crap. Like, it was
walking off the cliff.
And so I say to my single girlfriends, I'm like, enjoy your single time. Like, go out, have fun. Don't stress being in a relationship, because when the right person comes along, it's over. Like, legit. Like, everything is going to change for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how that happened.
Well, I have to ask, was there a time, like, Andrew, did you have to come to terms by saying, I'm going to tell her how I feel about her and risk losing the friendship?
Yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking at times. Because, I mean, I definitely felt like that before I told her.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
But you have to add in
At the same moment, you know, you kind of go through that thought in your head, well, if I don't say anything, I'm going to regret it the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So.
But on top of that, we were bartending together. So if it went south or went weird, we still had to hang out at work bartending next to each other. And there were times that like I'd show up to work and he'd be like, okay, I'm leaving. See you later. Like, he just wanted to get cut and leave work ASAP because it was awkward at some times.
Right.
So you get through it, though. I think the point is when it's meant to be, it's going to work out, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So are you excited? We have so many good questions. Should we dive in, Kathleen?
Yes. Wait, can we call this Ask Andrew?
Yes.
Or Andrew's advice. You need a jingle.
Yeah.
It needs to be like,
Oh, boy.
Ask Andrew.
Advice.
Yes. Okay, I love it. Do that.
We'll have our audio guy work on that.
Ask Andrew advice.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So if you're listening, any of you women, if you're single, this is totally the episode for you. Andrew's going to throw in some truth bombs. But even for married women, I think it's like kind of nice to listen to the male perspective. So
And
stay
it's
tuned.
enjoyable too, because we've all been there.
Yeah, totally have been there.
Oh my goodness. All these questions are so common.
And I give single ladies so much credit nowadays, because if I was single nowadays, oh, I'd be a lost little puppy. I don't think I could
know.
navigate it. So
The dating world has gotten brutal.
crazy. And I know Andrew's going to touch on some of those things in the modern day dating and his
That's right.
perspective from his male friends. And so the first question I want to ask you, so since you bartend and we bartended together, so I know I've seen some of these scenarios, but what kind of scenarios or situations do you see women doing at the bar where you just like kind of shake your head and you go, that's just not going to work out? Do you ever see women like acting a certain way? Like, what's some advice?
In the bar scene, it's a little different because you're obviously not yourself. Alcohol kind of does that to you. So
You're like a fearless.
I think
self.
the worst thing that I see is women just being really loud and obnoxious, letting, I don't know, the alcohol kind of take over a little bit. That is a huge turnoff. That never works out. That just doesn't work out. So that'd probably be.
Is there like a balance then between being like aggressive and like telling a guy how you feel? Like, is aggressive mean obnoxious, or where's the line?
Yeah, I guess there is a line there. Guys definitely want a girl that isn't afraid to come up and tell them, hey, I think you're cute and blah blah blah, whatever. But it's just the loud, getting drunk like that. That's never gonna work out. Sloppy. There you go. Great.
Don't get sloppy. If you want a
don't-
man.
Don't get sloppy. That's right.
Don't get sloppy. Well, I think that's where most women go to try to find a guy, right?
Right.
Like, if you're a single female and you're trying to look for a guy, more often than not, you're going out to a bar with your girlfriends. So what's your advice then for like a single girl? Like, how do you navigate that? Because you're with your girlfriends and you want to find a guy, but
I'd say be proactive. Like, if you see someone that you might be interested in, go initiate the conversation, because guys are just as nervous as you are, honestly. Go over, initiate a conversation, and,
say, hey,
make that first move, because guys, they're going to have fun no matter what. They're going to either be there with somebody like one of their friends or something, and at least they're going to be drinking, so they're going to be having a good time, but they are nervous too. So go over and initiate it.
so maybe like something funny. Like, what would be like a conversation?
What's
like
your opening line?
Yeah, like what do guys like humor, or do they want to be told that they look hot? Like,
I don't think it really matters. I think just go up, introduce yourself, and initiate the conversation, because that's sometimes really tough for a guy. Honestly, it really is.
And I think guys approach women a lot more than women approaching guys.
Right.
And so they get rejected so much more.
They get rejected.
And they're probably like, it makes them a little
they
more
don't
shy.
want to, initiate a conversation, get rejected again.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in someone, initiate it, at least the conversation, and see where it goes from there.
so what are your thoughts then on women like kind of rolling in packs, right? Like, advice that women get is like they go out with their girlfriends and then they're like unapproachable. If they're like with 5 of their girlfriends, a guy's not going to come up when all 5 of them are like hanging out. So like girls are told to go take a lap by yourself, right? Like be seen alone.
Pros and cons to both of those. It is intimidating to see 5 women just rolling up. You're not going to really approach that situation. And if you do, I mean, you got a lot of confidence, so that's good. But it is intimidating. Maybe not being alone either is the best thing. Maybe you and a friend, that's much more approachable than, either by yourself or with 5 other women.
Yeah.
So 2 is a good number, I think.
2.
2, yeah.
Okay. You and a wingman. I think that's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
wingman's there for a
Guys
reason,
always have
right?
that wingman, so
Girls
2
gotta
is a
roll-
good number.
Okay.
I used to always make eye contact. If there was someone I was interested in at the place, I would like make eye contact, and then casually later I would like walk by myself to the bathroom or something.
Yep.
And
Yep,
that was
that's
like
a good move.
Works like a charm.
Yep.
Even like eye contact and a wave, and that lets them know that
Ooh, wave.
you
Ooh,
are
you're
interested.
for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't necessarily want to go and talk to them, give them a wave.
Give them a little
like
wave.
it's okay.
That'll
I'm
go
approachable.
afar. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I see you. I'm interested in talking to you. Wave, and then if they don't want to either come and talk to you, at least know. And then you yourself aren't getting rejected either. So.
Okay. Then
Like
I
you
have
just
one
said,
other
hey.
question about the bar scene, because I was totally guilty of this, but I know you probably see girls like come up and then a guy buys them a drink and then they like exit, right? They're like cue left and they're like out of there. So what are guys' opinions on that? Like, you probably are then left with the guy at the bar that's like, I just bought this girl a drink and she just like totally bailed. Like, are men like, they know that's going to happen, or do you think they're still shocked when it happens?
I I think they think it's a possibility it's going to happen. They're definitely not shocked when it happens. Because I'm sure it happens a lot.
I think it happens a lot.
Used to it.
Yeah, and I mean, even if it works 1 time out of 10, they're still going to do it.
Really?
So I
It's
don't
worth
think
the $200 bar tab.
Yeah. I think they know that going in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I just find it interesting.
I think that's
gambling.
definitely less intimidating, and I think you see that more than just a guy coming up and trying to talk to somebody.
the drink is like
The drink is that like
olive branch.
segue, that bridge.
Yep.
Oh, can I buy you a drink? And that it's like an excuse to talk to somebody. And
So if the girl has no desire to like really talk to this guy, should she decline the drink?
well, I think we both know that that's not going to happen. Free drinks are great.
Truthful. Truth.
But then it's like the girls wonder, they're like, oh, he won't leave me alone, or he keeps like trying to come over and talk to me. It's like, yeah, you
Right.
accepted the free drink.
Exactly.
Like, you put
So I mean,
yourself
if
in that
you don't
position.
want to be in that awkward position, maybe just say, you know what, I'm okay, I'm good. Like I can get my own drink. Thank you very much, though. And
So don't be surprised.
and
if
then
he keeps
give him
trying
a
to talk-
wave.
as you leave. This is a goodbye wave.
right,
This is
right.
a nice wave.
Okay, so the next question that we have from single women, and I think this is something you've kind of talked about with, other women that have had questions, is like red flags. So that's a big deal, especially when you go on a first date with someone or you're just getting to know someone and you weren't friends with them before, or you're just being introduced. And red flags, like I think as women, I think Kathleen and I were sharing, like we don't see the red flags.
You
right?
don't. In your first few weeks, maybe even your first couple months of dating, you have blinders on and you're like,
Totally.
oh, this human is perfect. Like
Women
I
just
don't see anything.
fall and we fall like head
Yeah.
first. We're like, he talks
And
to me, he
all
likes me,
logic
texts
goes out the
me.
window.
And the red flags are so not apparent. So we want some of your insight. Like, what are some red flags that women should be on the lookout for that are like, halt the train, turn it around, get off the ride.
Yes. Open your eyes.
Give us some good ones.
Oh man, there's so many. Yeah, a lot of red flags. I guess one thing would be if it seems too good, it probably is too good. Like here's this perfect guy that just somehow dropped on my doorstep and oh man, I can't wait till we get married. Like be smart,
Yeah.
ask questions.
So if a guy comes in and he's like, I've got a mutual fund and this beautiful car and all these, like, my life is so perfect.
And I'm a doctor and I'm gorgeous and
why
I
are you
work
single?
out.
Like why? That
Yeah,
should be your
he
first
might
question
have
right there.
a family on the side. So
Exactly.
look out.
Just be smart. I mean, that's probably the best
So
advice.
I think the thing is if the guy is too overhypey, like he's trying to sell you,
On himself.
you himself, right? He's like his own eHarmony ad.
That might be a warning
I mean, there
sign.
could be that 1 in a million chance, but realize that those are your percentages here. 1 in a million.
Okay.
So just, I guess, keep your eyes open as much as possible.
Okay. What's another red flag? So let's say you're like on a first date with a guy.
Red flag, obviously, being a bartender, I see this a lot. Excessive drinking.
Ooh.
That would be a pretty big red flag. I mean, guys do get nervous and they want to maybe drink a little bit to kind of calm that nerve, but there's, definitely overstepping of that. So that would be a big red flag. That's not something you really want to have to deal with a first date.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So if they're drunk on a first date,
If
and
they're
they can't-
taking shots of Everclear before you get out the door, that could be a problem.
That's a red flag, I would think.
So-
Slight one, yeah.
Yeah, because that could mean a lot of different things. It could mean that he's an alcoholic, right? And that's a tough situation to put yourself in. But it also could mean that he's a party boy. Like he doesn't want to get over that phase in his life. And that's just how he equates with fun. And again, if you're looking to date someone seriously, that's not something you want in your potential boyfriend. Mm-hmm. What's another red flag? I think you were sharing one.
Ooh, if they're friends with their ex.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, that is
What's
a big
your
red
What's your
flag.
opinion on that?
Like
you're just newly dating a girl, and
This person still talks to their ex like every day or every other
Yeah,
day.
that is huge red flag. that tells me that relationship isn't over yet, and you might just be temporary until they get back together or something like that. That's a huge red flag. They're an ex for a reason, and you need to move on from that to move on from that. So,
So for a single girl and they meet a guy and they're like hanging out a couple times, if he's still friends with his ex on social media, that's the red flag.
I think that depends on duration of how long they've been, broken up.
Okay.
If it's within a couple months, yes, that's a red flag. If it's been years and maybe, they're getting
Cordial.
over it and they're friends, they probably judge it by a case-by-case basis, but
Still a red flag.
it's, a little bit of a red flag. Definitely investigate. Investigate for
That's
sure.
a yellow flag.
Women aren't good at the
Proceed
investigating.
with caution.
That's right.
What's like the saying, like the FBI should just hire women because we're so damn good at investigating.
We'll find out anything.
So a big red flag would be if the friends that you spend time with for some reason don't like the person you're dating, and it's multiple ones of them, a lot of your friends don't like the person you're dating, that is a huge red flag. Because at the end of the day, they're your friends. They have your best interests in mind. And if they're not liking who you're dating, there's a reason for that. And you might have those blinders on then. So that is a huge red flag.
And so what if they choose the boyfriend over the friends and then they're left with nothing except their boyfriend? And I've seen that happen so many times.
Right.
And then,
What's your life? You have all these friends, and if nobody likes your boyfriend, what's your life going to look like if you choose the boyfriend? You're not going to see those friends again. They're not going to want to hang out with somebody that they don't approve of or they don't like. So that's a
get
huge red
real
flag.
lonely.
You got to mesh your life, your current life, with your previous life,
Yeah.
So
I think a thing that I hear often, because I know as a female, like Kathleen said, we have those blinders on, and sometimes we start to blame our friends. Like they're not happy for me, or they're jealous, or I'm not spending time with them enough. And so they just don't like them because of that, like a jealousy thing. But that's not really the case. I think when I started dating Andrew, and I'm sure when you started dating your husband, it wasn't like you lost all your friends because of it.
oh, no way.
It almost like the two worlds blended together. Like he wanted to be around your friends and your friends wanted to like be around you guys. And that's how it should look. That would be healthy case scenario. So I think you're right. If the two don't mesh, that's a reason.
there's a reason for that. Absolutely.
Definitely.
So take the blinders down a little.
I know it's tough. It's tough when you're in it. You don't see it, but I think that's kind of why we're giving this advice, to kind of let you know there's warning signs for sure. You just gotta have to accept those
And move on.
and move on, right?
So another question we got was kind of the topic about women being dateable, right? So you go on a first date, doesn't work out. Then you go on another date and it doesn't work out. And so you're like going through all these like dates and none of them work out. And then the women are like, well, I'm just not dateable. So what are some characteristics that guys are kind of looking for when they go on that initial date or they initially meet someone? What would make a woman a little bit more dateable? Like, what are they looking for?
I think this just kind of goes with how guys are wired a little bit. It's all about the chase. You got to be something that's unattainable at that time so that they can work towards it to achieve it, I guess. And I think that's a problem with a lot of dating these days. It's there's no mystery anymore, and it's you got the chase is like the main thing. That's what guys are attracted to at the end of the day.
Well, with hookup apps like Tinder, there is no chase. It's just like click a button and you're mine.
Exactly. And a lot of people think that Tinder is a dating site. There's not a dating site whatsoever.
Definitely not.
Not dating.
It is a
Maybe,
hookup site.
Yeah, some
Sorry.
people get lucky.
What about Bumble?
Any of those. I think the only one that might still have some credibility is eHarmony, because
Or Match.com.
okay. But any of these, swipe left, swipe right kind of apps, they're not.
They're not for you. Not your
Guys are
friends.
not on those sites to date people.
No.
Okay.
Do you have any of your guy friends that talk about like, I'm going to go on Tinder to find my next wife?
No. And it's funny because we're all laughing, but it's like
It's true.
It's because we know that it's so obviously
a lot of
no.
women we know are like, oh, you know, I met this guy on Tinder. It's really going to work out. And then surprise, it
After
doesn't.
the first date.
And it's, you know, the guys that are on those sites are not, unfortunately, and I mean, there are outliers. There are, you know,
I think the
times that it has actually worked out. But for the most part, guys are not on those sites to meet their next wife or meet their next girlfriend or to date somebody.
Yeah,
They're
that
looking for
might be
something
like a
else.
side effect. Like they go into it like just thinking it's going to be a hookup or a short-term thing, and then they end up genuinely liking the girl.
Right.
But
That's rare.
the first intention was that.
And the guys that start on those sites are not necessarily looking for a relationship, which is, if you are looking for a relationship as a woman, you know, maybe meet some guys somewhere else.
Where else? Where are some good
like a
spots to
pumpkin
meet?
patch or a farmer's market,
A pumpkin
Or the
patch. I
gym.
love it.
library.
Where do
would be
you
a good
like
spot.
where do you
Yes,
think the
coffee
good guys
shop.
hang out? Like the good guys, where do they go? Besides the bar,
Let's see, where do our husbands go?
the
To
gym.
work, to their own businesses.
Yeah, meet someone at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Or-
into locally owned places.
Yeah.
And ask for the owner.
Yeah, ask for the business owner. You always want to date the business owner. That's my advice to you single ladies. It comes with a lot of
gosh.
headaches, but it's worth it. He's driven, he's got money. It's all good. Okay,
Yay.
so let's go to turnoffs. What is men as a consensus, not like just yours specifically, but talking to your guy friends and, you know, having the consensus. What is like a big turnoff that women have?
I think I touched on this earlier, but the loud and obnoxious, at least personally, I cannot stand. Like
Bachelorette
it's a
parties.
Huge, yeah, bachelorette parties. Huge turnoff. I mean,
It's
that's
almost
probably
like
the
that.
biggest
Like,
one for me.
like the more alcohol a female at a bar has, like the louder she's laughing because she thinks it's cute.
Yeah.
And so don't do that, girls.
Yeah, no. Play coy.
Yeah.
You can let the crazy out after they propose. That's my advice for single ladies. Don't let the
That's
crazy
the
out too
secret.
soon.
Yeah, and back to that Chase thing, like the mysterious girl, she goes up a level right off the bat. So
Yeah, because
So
you just
don't
want to like
spill it
get
all.
to know.
Like on a first date, right? Like,
right, a
don't-
first date, I mean, if you're planning on dating this person for a long time, they've got a lot of time to figure out who you are. You don't have to let it all out right away. Don't be talking about, you know, everything on the first date, you know? It's supposed to be fun. So remember that and know that you can progressively let this person know who you are. It doesn't have to be all in 2 or 3 hours.
Well, I think from like a female perspective, going back to like the Tinder and the Bumble and the swipe right, swipe left, I think some women feel that pressure where they're like, I got to tell him everything about me right away, because if not, then he's just going to go back on Tinder and find the next girl. So I think for women, sometimes they feel that pressure.
Well, and then back to that point where Tinder is not a place to meet somebody like that you're trying to date.
yeah, it's true.
I mean, if that's your fear, then meet somebody that's not on Tinder.
True. So this is something I hear a lot from my girlfriends is they they date someone on Tinder, then the guy goes off Tinder, right? Because he's like, I really like you. Like, we're gonna see where
I'm
this
gonna delete
goes.
my profile.
He deletes his profile, and then like a week later, they're on Tinder and see that his profile is back up, or their friends were on Tinder and they're like, oh, Josh put his Tinder profile back up. Like, that happens all the time. So I think
That would be a red flag, by the way.
Once, maybe once a Tinderer, always a Tinderer.
yeah, because that's got to be, you know, kind of tough pill to swallow. You're like, all of a sudden, like, oh, we're dating, everything's good and fine, and then all of a sudden he's like, profile pic pops back up, and you're like, ouch.
So I did Match.com for 1 month. It was exhausting, but
When was this? Like, what was the year? It wasn't that long ago,
so
was it?
Well, I mean, it was a while because Tinder wasn't a thing when I was single, and this was, I think it was 2010.
Okay.
I want to know why it was
It feels like-
exhausting. Did you just have so many dates?
Oh
that
my!
you
I
couldn't-
think I had like, I think I had 5 in a month, but it was
Oh my god!
it was like 5 first dates, and each one is so like you have to, I don't know, focus and like learn their story and tell your story. And
While you're trying to figure out if you like them.
yeah, I'm from Texas. I do this. And like try to be.
Not overshare.
Yeah, not overshare. And also like look nice, do your hair and makeup like a normal person. And anyway, so I did 5 dates in 1 month and I was like, okay, I will never online date again because this is ridiculous. But one of those dates, I didn't really connect with the guy, but he was foreign. I think he was from Belarus. Is that right? Yeah. But anyway, I guess in his country, once you go on a first date, like you're a couple. Like it's official.
wow.
You should start planning the wedding because you're on a date. Like,
Oh my gosh.
in his culture, that's how it works. Like you're either completely strangers or you're a couple. And so after the first date, he was like, "You're going to take down your profile, right?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Huh?" Play dumb when you don't know. And he was like, "Well, we just went on a date, so you're going to take down your profile, right?" And I was like, "No, creep. What are you talking about? Like,
Oh
we
my gosh.
have no chemistry." And it just got so weird from there. And I think we exchanged some emails after that. And we went on like one kind of date after that, like a second date. And anyway, he let me know that I destroyed his heart.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
because like, I don't know, I guess it was just so foreign to him, like so outside of his culture. So that's my little tidbit on taking down your profile.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
not ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be like a mutual decision, right? Like a
Gosh.
conversation. Like, you're going to take down your profile? Okay, then I'll take down my profile.
Yeah, like, are we ready? It's like a DTR, define the relationship talk, like mutually decided.
I can't imagine that. Did you have any
Yeah, I'm
weird
s-
first dates?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Ooh, can we hear
Bad
the
ones.
worst?
Yeah. My worst, well, hopefully she's not listening to this.
No names.
I don't know. I had a date once in college and I was actually really attracted to this girl. We, had a lot in common. We're actually in the same class and I took her out on the date and I had this whole evening planned out. Everything was in my mind before we started. I was like, oh, this is a perfect plan. This is what we'll do. And it was dinner and a movie. We're going to go have dinner it was actually the Olive Garden. So super fancy. And then we're going to you're going to go to a movie afterwards. And I took this girl to dinner and I thought we had all this in common and everything was going to go great. And it was just grueling. Oh my gosh.
Exhausting, like
was-
Kathleen said.
And I remember thinking like, if this is what dating is, this is horrible.
So how do you gracefully exit those situations? You just
Nope,
ride
I
it out
didn't.
till the end?
You just
I
ride
went
it
through
out.
it and we ended up going to the movie and it was,
The longest movie of your life.
Oh no, it was a horrible movie. It was supposed to be a comedy and it ended up being so awkward. It's a very funny story. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie. I think it was like Zach and Marie make a porno or something.
Zach and Mimi.
Yeah, so that was it was Seth Rogen. So I was like, oh, this would be hilarious. Only
Seth.
one's in the theater.
Oh my gosh.
After a bad date.
After a bad date and first date. So we were watching this and I'm like, wow, this is just so uncomfortable. This is absolutely, I think we left like halfway through.
At least she wanted to leave too, and you didn't have to extend that any longer.
God, it was so awkward.
Wow. I've never had a first date. I've always just kind of like,
That was the first and
Dating
only
hopping.
date. Like,
Really?
We just, no chemistry. So
Game
just-
over.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We were friends after that, but
awkward.
super weird.
No, I don't think I ever had like official first dates. I always like relationship hopped. And then when I moved to Florida and I was single for a while, I just kind of like hung out with guys.
Yeah.
So I've never like been on like a weird date. I don't know how I would gracefully leave.
I don't think you do unless, well, yeah, I don't think you do.
Yeah. What's like
Yeah.
something a girl could say?
Be honest. Just say, hey,
Like, you're
this
annoying.
is just not really working out. Hopefully you drove yourself,
Oh, that's a good tip.
Other than that, call your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uber. Well, you got Uber.
I mean, just be honest,
Yeah. I don't think there's any shame in
Don't
that
waste
because,
any time. Like, that's the thing. Like,
yeah, if you're having an awful time, just, be
yeah,
honest.
say, hey, you
and-
know what? This is not working out. This is horrible.
Yeah. We're
Gotta
here
go.
for the
I'm out.
intention of finding someone we're into, and we're not into each other. So bye.
So on that note, the whole saying is men will know when they meet a woman if she's the one. Do you believe that's true?
I mean, I'd say yes and no. I mean,
Not necessarily true.
I think it's a case by case kind of thing. But
if a guy wants a girl, though, she'll know. What, he's going to play coy?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it is such a game, dating, that maybe the guy won't let them know because maybe,
He's worried it'll push her away.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
and that's the thing, like dating, that's one reason dating is so horrible. It's like you can't just be honest with somebody and expect them to be completely honest back with you. It is a game, and I think that sometimes it gets in the way of how people actually feel, So yeah, case by case with when as far as that goes.
I used to hate that saying because I was in a couple long-term relationships that in both of them, I thought I was going to marry the person. And when people were like, oh, is he the one? Are you going to marry him? And I was like, oh, I think so. And they were like, well, you know, even if you don't know, like, And I was like, well, do I know? I think I know.
Don't.
Like, I think I know what I know, but I don't know what you know that I know. And I was just like, got so in my head. And anyway.
But then when you met your husband, like, you knew.
That's true.
Yeah.
That was like
when him and I started dating,
day
I
and
knew.
night.
So maybe
Yeah.
there's like some false knowing out there.
I think people try
Like,
to.
I think I know.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
try
sure,
to
though.
make the fact that they know, but no,
maybe
you'll
you're just trying
feel
to convince yourself. Like, I think sometimes we like don't listen to the red flags, or we're like so blinders on that we're just like, we want to make this work so bad.
Yeah.
Because we've invested this much time, or because he is a great guy, or because he fits so well in my life. But I genuinely think that when you know, you'll know.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times we do it kind of like a pros and cons chart, and we check things off, and we're like,
rational.
well, he has this that I want, he has that I want. Like, he's very, like, he meets everything, so I think he's the one. But no, when he's the one, you'll feel it.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
You won't know, you'll feel.
Yeah, I agree. And you won't know what that feels like until it happens, which is the whole point. It shouldn't happen false.
Yeah,
You know?
you can't turn it on; it'll just hit you.
Yep. Is it that way for men?
He's like, we just kind of pick someone.
Yeah.
You'll do.
When you like someone, you like someone.
So is it the whole like when a guy's not ready to settle down, and then when he's ready to settle down, it's like the next girl that swoops in. He's like, okay, I'm ready to settle down. The next date is going to get me.
She's the one.
I think guys definitely hit like an age where they're like ready, and I think women are probably the same way too. Like there's a specific age where I guess probability goes up at a certain point. So
Try to date a guy that's older.
right. I mean, there's people that meet that might be really compatible when they're younger and like, oh, this is the one. But then, you're still growing when you're younger. So it's tough to say, that it's going to work out, or if that's the person. It might be the person, but maybe not the right time,
Timing is huge.
There's a lot of variables. Dating's tough.
What about when like looking at a guy and then his friends? So if you're trying to date a guy and all of his guy friends are single, that's a hard situation.
It's tough because of the obvious that, they're single and they're hanging out with him and they might be a bad influence on him. But, that's another case by case kind of scenario because, that guy might not,
He might be ready when his friends are not ready.
right.
Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I definitely hang out with some of those people that are single. That doesn't mean...
Not you, but I'm thinking like in your group of guy friends, does the dynamic change when one of the single guys all of a sudden starts dating someone? Do they like give him crap about it? Like, or like, we want to know behind the scenes. Like, are his guy friends like, oh, you're with your girl again? Like, are they giving him crap for dating someone when the rest of them are
possibly,
single?
but if like the relationship is strong, it shouldn't really matter.
Wouldn't matter.
I think that's looking into something that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
Case by case.
Yep.
Okay. Can we transition into a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to play deal breaker or no deal breaker?
Yes.
We're going to
Let's
ask
do
you
it.
a series of questions.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So
This is speaking in general, right? For the guys out there.
yes, for the guys from Andrew. All right. So if you are just starting to date a girl and then you go over to her place and she has 10 cats, Deal breaker or not?
That's a deal breaker for me. Definitely. I'm not a cat guy.
Is there a number that's the cutoff? Like, are 5 cats safe?
2 or less is probably good.
2. Okay, 2's
2.
the number.
I mean, you got 3 cats.
Too many.
That's a red flag for a guy.
What about 3 dogs?
I'd say dogs, maybe 4 would be. But I'm a dog person, so maybe that's why.
Dogs are usually safer.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't know what pet to get a dog.
Yeah. Okay, what
or
if...
a fish.
A fish. You can never have too many fish. Okay, if she drinks way more than you do, deal breaker or no?
Personally, me, if someone drank more than me, that's a deal breaker.
High tolerance?
I think there's a, again, case by case, but
You are getting out of jail free with all these case by case answers.
the excessive drinker is not.
Say what you feel.
I have actually gone down that road before, and it doesn't really work out. So keep that in mind, I guess.
I think for either side though, like guys and girls,
Right.
if you're like on a date with someone and they're like, you're not even on a date, but when you're like in a relationship, when one person is drinking more than the other, like more nights out of the week, or when you go out, they like drink double the amount with the intention of like getting wasted and blacking out.
Right.
So it's never going to work unless like your lifestyle.
There should be an equal balance there. And if you...
your lifestyle should just mesh like that. Okay. So what is a bigger turnoff? Having a cat or always talking about their mom?
I mean, are we talking about always talking about their mom?
Yeah. Like their mom comes over every day. They're always hanging with their mom.
Yeah, no. I mean, always that would probably be a deal breaker. Although I don't really have a problem with either one of them, but if that's all she's talking about, then that would probably be the one. That would probably be the bigger turnoff. One cat's okay.
Okay, what if her best friend is the guy? Deal breaker or no?
Ooh. Hurdle for sure.
Oh, well
Definitely a hurdle. Because I mean, as a guy, you want to be if you are going to be dating this person, you're going to want to be the best friend eventually, So sometimes that definitely can create a wedge, I think. Mm-hmm. So.
Agreed.
What about a girl that always is hanging out with her friends?
Always hanging out
like so their best friend has to come with all the time. So if you're like going out to get drinks, her best friend shows up,
right.
Or you are hanging out at the house and the best friend comes over all the time.
Personally, I've gone down this road before, and I would say this for me now would be a deal breaker because you can't really establish your own relationship with a person if their best friend's always around, or it's just not going to happen. You can't have a relationship with that person if
you can't be
you're always a +1, And I had tried it before in the past for a while, and it just doesn't work out. You don't get that attention that a relationship needs. It's being given to somebody else.
Well put again. 2 points.
2 points.
I thought it was a 5-pointer right there.
Okay, first date. You show up, haven't met her yet, and she's 100 pounds heavier than her online dating profile photo.
Oh, that's a deal breaker for sure.
False advertisement.
Yep, lying, deceitful right off the bat. Not a way to start things off. Deal breaker.
So update your photo.
Yes.
Yes. Deceitful. That's what I would think. Not a good emotion to feel on your first date.
I've been fooled.
So, okay, so if that happened, would you just turn around and walk out and be like, "Oh, I didn't see you. Like you didn't
I would
show
go
up."
to the bar, probably.
Take a moment to reflect on the situation.
What if she wants to talk about politics on the first date?
As a general rule of thumb, I don't like to talk about politics with anyone because everyone has an opinion and they're always right. So I would listen. I don't think it's a deal breaker. Yeah. I mean, if they're that passionate about, sharing that on a first date, I'll definitely listen.
Okay.
I don't think it's a deal breaker. No.
Okay. We'll give her a pass.
Okay.
Yep.
Washington, D.C. Okay, last one. You really like this girl. She's attractive. Well, you're single, first of all. Back in the day.
Assumptive.
So this girl is attractive and intellectual, and you guys just have a lot of fun laughing together and all that. You go back to her place for the first time, and it is trashed. Like bags of chips on the floor. There's probably some cats floating around. Maybe no cats for this one, but just like it is trashed.
It's like the perfect storm in there, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tornado category. What categories are those?
4.
Cat 4.
Cat 4.
Or is that hurricane?
Oh, this is difficult. I don't think that's a deal breaker. No, not at all.
You can always hire a maid.
We can always, work on that a little bit. If everything else is checked off, I think we could deal with that. Might just have to get like a hotel room or something away from the mess. Yeah, that's definitely that's not a deal breaker, at least for me.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that one can be handled.
Yeah, that's true.
Give me-
Now, if the guy has like OCD and he's very neat, that might be a deal breaker for him. But
Yeah, he's out.
yep.
He probably had a
Bye.
white glove in his back pocket ready to check. And then he's like, no. Worst case
I've
scenario.
made a horrible mistake.
Like put together on the outside, and then you go into the house and you're like, whoa.
This is not what I expected.
Although I have to say, as women, before we go on a date, we get pretty messy. Like our clothes are on the floor. Like we're changing 15 times. Our makeup is usually strewn about. Like we're eating on the way because we don't want to eat a lot on the date.
Because you're out of time from trying on all the outfits.
Yeah, and you're running late, and so you kind of knock something over on the way out. So I think the lesson is don't bring them back to your
it's
house.
just crazy to hear these things from a guy's perspective. When we go on a date,
I know you
we don't
walk
do
out
any
of the
of that.
shower and you're done.
we're like, oh, I'm starving. I can't wait to get there to eat.
See, we're the exact opposite. We're like, we got to eat beforehand so we don't look like ravishing animals while we're eating and we get something stuck in our teeth. And we just got to be delicate and eat like just a little appetizer so he doesn't think I'm a, pig.
I'm ridiculous. I hate eating in front of people. So I would probably have a full meal at home before I
Yeah,
went
me
out.
too, for sure. Because I wouldn't know what they had to eat there. And what if the menu is like all seafood and I hate seafood?
Or for me, if it's all sandwiches, because I cannot look decent eating a sandwich.
No one.
Game over.
That's a big first date thing. Don't go to a place that's like weird food to eat. Like sandwiches are awkward.
It needs to be something sexy like strawberries.
I feel like
a
wings would be a
strawberry
bad
restaurant.
thing.
Yeah, wings
Yeah.
would be a bad first
Like
date.
all you can eat wings. That's not a good first date.
No. So then what's a male ideal first date spot? Where do men like to take women on a first date? Because a lot of times the men want to be polite. I'm just imagining my girlfriend's conversations with these guys on Tinder where they're like, okay, you pick the place. And then the girls are like, I don't know. So like what would be like a place that a male would like to go?
And you know what? A guy really likes that. A girl that's decisive and says, this is where we're going. Because it
I'm out.
it takes some of the nerves off of them too. So, because they're thinking, well, what if I decide on a place and she hates it? Guys are a little more easy. Like, oh, there's food. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
So, a restaurant would be a great spot. Something that maybe is encompassing a lot of different dietary, preferences, things like that. And
somewhere that's like loud
casual.
and bubbly with like a lot of things going on, or something like quiet where you can like be romantic.
Maybe not quiet, like definitely loud. First dates are tough because there are those awkward pauses, and a quiet place would just amplify that. Hence why Olive
Give you a
Garden was not a
microphone for
great
your
idea.
like story. Like,
But-
and when
What
I
about
was
like an
sick-
arcade or like David Buster's or something that's like
Keeping it fun is always a good idea. Like
Carnival
keeping it light
or-
and fun. Definitely good first date. But guys do need to eat. So make sure that you get them food.
Lots of food.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. Because I think our goal during a date is to not eat the whole time. We're like, okay, just avoid any food and awkwardness.
Don't touch any food on your plate.
And guys, like in the back of their head, they're like, I got to get off this date because I just got to eat. I got to go.
They're like, can I have her plate? She's not eating it. Is that okay?
Guys like to eat.
I've been watching too much Bachelor because all these dates, I'm like, ooh, I want to be in a museum when no one else is there. I want to have my own table in the middle of this art gallery and like.
Yeah, that sets men up for failures. The fact that we love The Bachelor.
Yeah, I've never once been on a date like that, but I feel like I'm just creating these ridiculous goals in my head for dates.
Do you think men feel that pressure that like women have these like huge expectations for first dates or glamorous dates? Your guy friends, like,
No.
no, they don't care.
No, I don't
It's
think
like
so.
not a thought in our head. Nope.
No.
Guys don't care. They just gonna go hang out and see if they're DTF.
They just want to make sure that you're enjoying it somewhat and they get to know you.
He's like, again, back to the food.
Yep.
We
and they
just
get to
want
eat.
food.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Guys are pretty simple. I'm not going to lie here.
And I knew that, but I don't think I realized how simple you guys were. Like this
Yeah, I know.
episode has been very eye-opening to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. You guys are just like,
Just don't overwhelm them, feed them, and
Don't share
make
too
it light
much.
and fun. Perfect.
Yeah.
You're in.
Don't poke the beast.
and play hard to get.
Yes. Keep that chase up. And if that doesn't work for you for that guy, that might not be the person that is looking to date somebody. So keep that in mind.
That's a good one. I think women feel like the pressure to like
if you
hang out with them and
right. If that person's not willing to chase you, then they're not worth your time.
Yeah.
Move on.
ooh, those are some good parting words. Okay, so we'll give you a last moment. Advice for single women. Just like what is something that you think every single woman needs to hear from the male perspective?
Oh man, this is like on the spot here.
Yeah.
You're in the hot seat.
Well, I think the main thing is, like I was saying, the chase. Like you've got, I think women are so pressured nowadays with Tinder and everything to feel. It's tough to explain.
Fulfill certain roles.
certain expectations.
Yeah.
Like they had to be perfect.
Well, perfect, and they've
Like the next girl's waiting in line.
right, exactly. So they have to make an impression or something like that. And some guys might be looking for that, but the guys that are actually out there looking for a relationship and looking for someone to spend their life with, they want that chase. They want a girl that is worth chasing. And if for some reason, you meet a guy and they're not willing to do that, like I said earlier, just they're not worth your time. Move on, get on to the next guy or the next person, and work on yourself too. It's there's a lot of benefit to that. Making sure that you're whole, making sure that you're working on yourself at the same time. It will come. I mean, it will. You do have to be proactive about it. It's not going to just appear out of nowhere. But,
I know if you're going to work and going home every night, you're not going to find
don't
him.
be a hermit or anything. But that would be my advice. Like the chase is what's most desirable when it comes to guys. So
I like what you said about working on yourself, because I think that ties back into what you said, Mandy, where you said like enjoy your single time and don't be so focused on finding the relationship, because a lot of the times like you'll find yourself in the wrong relationship and then you won't have like your single fun years that are so good for the soul.
Totally.
So just enjoy your single time and be selfish and learn new things, and that makes you more interesting in the long run anyway.
I think that's like what attracts guys to you, right? Like if a guy sees a girl at a bar that's just like having a great time and dancing and doing her own thing, or like a guy meets a girl that's got a lot going on in her life, right? She's got like hobbies and activities and friends and her career's going good. He finds that actually more attractive.
it's very attractive. Absolutely.
Than a girl that's just like, I hang out with my friends, I go home, I go to work, and like is like, meh.
and try to find a boyfriend.
And try to find a boyfriend. That's actually my hobby, is finding boyfriends.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
Yeah,
Don't do that. Just
no guy's
be
gonna
selfish.
be attracted to that.
Nope.
Not long term, that's for sure.
True. Yay. Well, this was an exciting episode. Thank you for all your insights.
I hope I was a big help.
Advice by Andrew.
Yeah.
We're going to find your jingle. We're going to nail it later.
Yeah, we are.
I can't wait to hear it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you inspired some women. Hopefully you guys leave some feedback on our Instagram and our Facebook, and feel free to throw us more questions for the Ask Andrew segment.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have him back for sure.
Ooh, I'll try to answer those
Yes.
as best as I can.
And he will also answer questions in between episodes. So if you guys have questions, throw them on our social media and we'll make sure he answers them.
He'll be a recurring segment.
I'm in.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
This episode was so fun.
So we're going to wrap up this episode. We'll see you guys next week. So whether you're cleansing or celebrating, cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wheatgrass and Champagne podcast. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Join the Wheatgrass and Champagne community on Instagram, Facebook, and wheatgrassandchampagne.com. Details from this episode can be found in the show notes below. Tune in next Wednesday as we continue to seek the perfect balance between indulging and upgrading. Until then, cheers.